My name is Roger Johnson. I like taking pictures and I love to travel. Whether it's working as a professional tour guide, a flight attendant, or on my own for fun. Across America or around the world. This is my show. Hello and welcome to the November 2013 Welcome to America Adventure Update. I am Roger Johnson. 50 years ago this month was the assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22nd, 1963 in Dallas, Texas. Inspired by my interest in presidential history, as well as the book Assassination Vacation by Sarah Vowell, I decided this year to take my own assassination vacation and visit many of the historic sites and revisit associated with presidential assassinations for Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, William McKinley, and John F. Kennedy. April 14th, 1865, at the close of the American Civil War, President Lincoln and his wife decided to see the play Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. Actor and Confederate sympathizer John Wilkes Booth also decided to see the play. He snuck into the presidential box and shot Lincoln in the back of the head. He jumped to the stage, yelled, "Sic semper tyrannis," the Virginia state motto meaning thus always to tyrants. He escaped out the back alley, raced out of the city and into Maryland. President Lincoln, unconscious, was carried across the street to the Peterson House, where he was treated, but ultimately died at 7:22 a.m. the next morning. Ford's Theater, along with the Peterson House across the street, now it's a National Historic Site operated by the National Park Service. They offer tours, really cool all the time. You have to get tickets in advance because there's huge lines, especially in the summer or the spring when school groups are there. It's very cool. Museum in the basement, all kinds of cool artifacts, the stuff that was in Lincoln's pockets, statues of all the different co-conspirators, Booth, Harold, Mary Surratt, all of the whole gang. They're all down there. And they also have the gun. It's the actual factual gun that John Wilkes Booth used in the assassination. It's just this little tiny thing. And so that's really cool to go see. I had been there before, so the cool thing that I got to do on my last visit, I went and saw a play, and it was actually Good Friday, 2013. It was Good Friday, the night that Lincoln saw his play as well. So there was kind of that neat historic connection. I went and saw Hello, Dolly. I don't think they would ever play Our American Cousin there ever again. Hello, Dolly was pretty fun, though. I highly recommend doing that, going to see a play there if you can. Just a few blocks from Ford's Theater is what used to be the Surratt boarding house. It's now the walk and roll Chinese-Japanese restaurant. The first time I ever had sushi was there on the 50 States, 50 Days trip.
Very nice.
There's historic markers outside. It is what President Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, called the nest that hatched the egg. This is where they met to plot first a kidnapping, but ultimately assassination of President Lincoln. Anybody associated with that house, with that building, they strung them up. Also, the night of the assassination of President Lincoln, this was one that took me 3 tries to find this. They not only were going to try and kill President Johnson, the guy that was supposed to do that, he chickened out. But Secretary of State William Seward had a house on Lafayette Square just across the street from the White House, and they went in there and they were going to try and kill him with a knife, and they went and hacked at him, and he survived, but the house didn't. There's a historic marker there, and again, 3 times to try and find this thing. It's in a courthouse. It's in the courtyard of a court building, and you go inside there and there's a big thing on the wall, and it's kind of cool if you kind of know where it is. And I think security guards and what saw me there, and what's this guy doing here? Not realizing that, what they had there was very historic. Following the Booth escape route, I've done this before, twice before in different orders. You go into suburban Maryland. What used to be Surratt Town was the Surratt Tavern. Now, that's different than the Surratt boarding house. I'd been by there a couple times before and never got to take a tour. I got to take a tour this past summer. Very well done. The coolest part was you go up in the attic, and they had hid guns and other supplies that they were going to need for their escape up in the attic area of the tavern, and you get to look down and see where they hung the guns down in behind the wall. Very cool. the Dr. Samuel Mudd house, infamous Dr. Samuel Mudd, who claims that he didn't recognize Booth even though he knew him. You can take a tour. They don't let you take pictures or shoot video, so you're gonna have to take my word for it. It's really cool, or else go do it yourself. It's a privately run museum and their hours are limited. It was only a couple of days a week that they're actually open, but it was really well done. Actually owned by the Mudd family, descendants of Dr. Mudd. They've got a walkway path that leads the way that you can actually follow along where Booth escaped. Booth and David Harold, one of his co-conspirators, ended up crossing the Potomac River and into Virginia, where they ended up at the Garrett farm site, is where John Wilkes Booth was cornered by the U.S. Army and was ultimately killed. Sergeant Boston Corbett shot him in the spine and paralyzed him. They dragged him out and he looked at his hands. Useless, useless, apparently. They do have historic markers in the median on U.S. Highway 301 near Port Royal, Virginia. It's between mile marker 121 and 122. You have to be in the northbound lane if you're going to see it. If you're on the southbound lane, you're not going to see anything, so you've got to turn around. Important tip. Unlike President Lincoln and all of the historic sites associated with his assassination, James Garfield, who was assassinated as well in Washington, D.C., there's nothing practically saying this is what happened here. The National Gallery of Art was once the site of the Baltimore and Potomac Railroad Station. On July 2nd, 1881, less than 4 months into his first term as President of the United States, President Garfield and his wife were heading out on vacation. Charles Gutiot, I think that's how you pronounce his name, shot him twice. Boom, boom. Once in the arm and once in the abdomen. They captured Gutiot almost immediately. President Garfield, unlike Lincoln, he lingered on. He was at the White House for many months. That September, they shipped him off to the Jersey Shore, where they hoped cooler temperatures in the sea air and everything would help his recuperation. It did not. He died at 10:35 on Monday, September 19th, 1881, in the actual town was Elbron, New Jersey. The house that he died in is no longer there, but they do have a historic marker there. It's like looks like an alleyway. It's a little street and it's off the main road and kind of hard to find, but it's like, there it is. About a block, 2 blocks away is the Church of Presidents. This was kind of cool. It's undergoing reconstruction and restoration work. 9 different presidents, Lincoln, Grant, Garfield, of course, several others, all worshiped there at one time or another. The cool part about it, in association with the Garfield assassination, is that next to it is what's called the Garfield Tea House. In order to get President Garfield's railroad car right up to the house where he was going to recuperate, they actually laid track for the train right up to the edge of the house. Those railroad ties were taken up and built into this little tea house that now sits next to the Church of Presidents. And it's behind a fence and everything, or was when I was there. But it's like, oh, hey, this is this neat part of history. So there's not a lot commemorating the James Garfield assassination, but there's a little bit here and there, and mostly in New Jersey. But Garfield is no Abraham Lincoln, or William McKinley for that matter. President McKinley, who was visiting the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, New York in 1901, was shot twice in the abdomen by an anarchist. You try pronouncing his name. McKinley later died. The grounds of the exposition and the music hall, the building that McKinley was visiting, it's all gone. It's a residential area. The only surviving building is now the New York, Buffalo, and Erie County Historical Society Museum. I bought this nifty map. This is cool. It overlays the current streets that are in blue over where the exposition grounds are. So you can find, and you look on here, Fordham Drive, Temple Museum, and then so you can see on there where the assassination took place. And if you go to Fordham Drive, in the median of the road, there's a little stone marker with a plaque on it that reads, on this site in 1901, William McKinley was assassinated. The house that McKinley was taken to, where he eventually did die, is no longer there either. But again, they've got their historic marker thing down. There is a historic marker saying that on this spot, William McKinley died. Just down the road from there on Delaware Avenue, the building which is still standing is the Theodore Roosevelt National Inaugural Historic Site. Teddy Roosevelt, who was vice president under McKinley, was hiking in the Adirondack Mountains. Mount Marcy, for all of you high pointers out there, got the news of the assassination and took the oath of office at a friend's home that is now that historic site. On November 22nd, 1963, President John F. Kennedy, while on a campaign trip to Dallas, Texas, was riding through Dealey Plaza. He was shot several times by lone gunman Lee Harvey Oswald. President Kennedy was immediately rushed to nearby Parkland Hospital. Oswald left work and headed by bus to a boarding house not too far away where he was staying. He then went by foot to the corner of 10th and Patton Street, and there he was confronted by Dallas police officer J.D. Tippett. Oswald shot Officer Tippett and killed him before he headed on and snuck into the Texas Theater. Now, I've done this a couple of times. I've actually gone to the boarding house, walked to the corner of 10th and Patton, and then onto the movie theater and timed myself. Conspiracy theorists who think that Oswald didn't shoot Officer Tippett, much less President Kennedy, say that he couldn't have walked it in this amount of time. Yeah, he could have. I've done it. You can also see a movie at the Texas Theater as well. I saw some weird Finnish Christmas horror movie, something, the one time that I was there. I bought a Coke and my bag of popcorn. Those are my souvenirs from my visit to the Texas Theater. You can do it yourself like I did. There was also a tour bus there at the 6th Floor Museum in Dallas, what was formerly the School Book Depository. I didn't take it this time, but if you want to go that route, that's a good way to go. Check out the 6th Floor Museum as well. They don't allow pictures or video to be taken while you're up there, but well worth the visit there. The Kennedy assassination, only 50 years ago, is still remembered by people who were alive when it happened. They know where they were when they heard the news bulletin. A lot of people remember it, but like Kennedy, Lincoln, Garfield, and McKinley are all remembered as well. Preservation of their homes through libraries, museums, and monuments in their honor. So that's it for this month's Welcome to America Adventure Update. We ended up shooting this a couple of times. I met with a fellow presidential history buff, Tim Bash, who lives in Ohio. We went to the James Garfield house and tomb and stuff together. I was going to try and interview him via the Skype.
I'm Tim Bash. I live in Northwest Ohio. Had a lifelong interest in presidential history, and
didn't work out quite like we hoped, and so we redid it this way. But I did want to promote his blog. He's got a tremendous site there that goes into a lot of great detail about not just assassination historic sites, but every other presidential historic site you could possibly fathom or imagine. Check out his website, potushistoric.blogspot.com. Check out my own website, welcometoamerica.us. I've got all my pictures of presidential historic sites as well. Really a lot of informative stuff there. Get you going on your own assassination vacation or whatever other type of presidential historic vacation you want to do. So until next time, we'll see you next time. I'm Roger Johnson, the world's first self-proclaimed welcome sign photography expert. I've got a photo of myself next to a welcome sign in all 50 U.S. states and the District of Columbia. And if you don't believe me, I've got a certificate to prove it, which I do need to sign. But that's not the point. The point is, if you've got obsessive compulsive travel disorder like I do, also known as OCTD or the travel bug, you know how much fun it is to keep track of your travel. I've been to all 50 states at least 4 times or more, and I do know how much fun it is to keep meticulous records. I've taken welcome sign photos, I've built complicated websites, produced expensive, time-consuming, award-winning travel documentaries. I put stickers on my van. I've drawn on maps and on myself. It's too much. But now I've found a better way. The Roger Johnson's Welcome to America passport. It's got the look and feel of a real passport. You can customize your passport with your name, personal information, photo, and signature on the information page. Pre-printed stamps for each state contain the date of statehood, as well as mottos, nicknames, landmarks, and symbols unique to each state. See? You can track your travels by coloring in the map in the back, as well as checking off each state and taking notes in the state checklist. So whether you're traveling by land, sea, or air, if it's your first state, your last, or somewhere in between, you too can track your travels with your very own Welcome to America passport. The Welcome to America passport is not an official document issued by any government agency. It is not required for travel anywhere in the United States, world, or known universe. It is strictly for fun as you track your own travels to all 50 United States and the District of Columbia. Buy yours today at welcometoamerica.us/passport. So if I figure I sell 2 million of these and I make $1 off of each one, I'll be a millionaire.